Yes, Austin FC. They finished 6th in the West, 15th in MLS in general. Finished the season with 47 points, 13 wins, 13 losses, 8 draws. They did find some success last season. They made it to the playoffs. They were swept by LAFC in the first round. And then they also made it to the U.S. Open Cup finals against, Nashville. And they lost to Nashville in the final. So they found success last season, but there is still some room to grow. We've got brand new graphics here on our show. Hope you guys like them. And then, Christian, I'm going to throw it over to you before we get into all the notes here. What stood out to you about Austin FC's 2025 season?
I mean, Austin was a team that saw key injuries like the guy on the screen here, Brandon Vasquez, tore his ACL. And they also saw they were the least scoring team in all of the playoffs, right? They only have 37 goals scored. But I do think that they did a good job going in this offseason and covering that, which I'm sure we'll touch on. Outside of that, I think that they were a good team. Owen Wilf really emerged as the team's best attacking threat, 7 goals, 8 assists. He's going to come into this year probably injured as well. So I still have high hopes for Austin, though, coming into the season.
Well, hopefully they can get the injuries out of the way. I love that you brought up how low scoring they were, specifically with playoff teams. The weird thing about Austin FC and what I put in my notes is scoring was a struggle. This is exactly word for word what I put. Scoring was a struggle for Austin throughout the season, despite strong attacking players. That's what confused me. Now, you have Brandon Vasquez. He only played 19 games before having a season-ending ACL injury, but you have some other players like obviously Owen Wolf was there. Azuni showed some promise on the, you're hoping to get a little bit more out of him as well. That's what was really weird about Austin. I feel like they've got good attacking pieces. It just felt like they were one of those teams where the attacking pieces weren't doing everything to the best of their ability, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even Brandon Vasquez, sorry to cut you off, just to add on to that. Brandon Vasquez, I mean, he only had 5 goals, 0 assists in 19 games. We remember Brandon Vasquez, his best time was in Atlanta. It was at something about FC Cincinnati. Those were his best days. And I think the one question that has always been surrounding Brandon Vasquez is like that final touch. And there are some times that he needs to do better with that. And so even though you look at it, yes, he had that season-ending injury, 19 games, 5 goals, you still expect more from a guy you brought in to be your number 9.
Yeah, I think Brandon Vasquez also definitely saw a lot of help from Luciano Acosta at this time of Cincinnati, because I don't necessarily think Austin has a guy that can really create offense like that, like Luciano. I mean, we're talking about one of the better creators we've seen. But I think that they also noticed a similar issue, as you said, and obviously to kind of branch off, that's when they brought in Facundo Torres, right?
Yeah, perfect signing to bring in, right? You're looking at who can we go out, who can we get to bring in some more goals, hopefully, and whether that is actually scoring, putting the ball in the back of the net, or that's someone who can assist the ball as well, which is exactly what Torres can do. He did it well for Orlando City. He's great at creating goals, whether that is passing or actually putting it in the back of the net. We can talk about who they brought in. You brought up Facundo Torres, DP signing for $9.5 million. So they went out and invested to bring him into the squad to hopefully get him some goals. Every other signing has been small ones. Jaden Nelson acquired him from Vancouver. Joseph Rosales, they acquired him from Minnesota. And then you had a free agent signing of John Bell. So you have pretty much 3 defenders. 2 of them can play midfield. So Torres is their big signing that they brought in. So the question is, Christian, with the people they lost, they didn't really lose anybody other than Osman Bakari, who is probably their biggest loss. So they're bringing Torres in to hopefully fill part of his void that he's going to leave behind, as they transferred him to Widzu Lotz. I probably said that way wrong. But then the other people they kind of bought out, Julio Cascante, Diego Rubio, Jimmy Farkaloon, not really names that are going to change the squad too much. So I guess the question is, Facundo Torres took a year out of MLS. He's back. I think it was just a year, if I remember correctly. Is he going to be a big enough piece to come in and change this Austin side and give them the attacking prowess that they're going to be looking for?
I mean, you talk about Facundo, 47 goals and 25 assists in his 123 games with Orlando. Obviously was explosive in that Orlando team. And you brought up the $9.5 million price tag, and I know it seems like a big number in the league. So I went ahead and did a little research here while you were breaking it down, and Uzuni was was a $12.3 million transfer, and they went ahead and paid $10 million on Brandon Vasquez. So you're looking at a guy who's coming in, less than both of those players what they're paying, and I think he can do he'll have a better goal output than Brandon Vasquez did for sure.
I'm excited to see him back in this league, and you should have Vasquez come back, be healthy this year. I think I am with the front office, and you want to see more from Uzuni this season. 6 goals, 3 assists. It's not enough, in my opinion. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, the 9 goal contributions for a guy who's your record signing is just not going to cut it.
No, exactly. So you expect more from him. You had a -8 goal differential, so it's not like attacking is the only issue. You got to go out and solve some defensive issues as well, which is a common thing with MLS teams. We know in this league they have great attacking players. The defense is still lacking behind a little bit. So that's a common thing to have to solidify that back line. And we're going to talk about some teams today who actually have had a pretty good back line for the most part. You have Nico Estevez, head coach, looking to, I think this is his second. No, this is his first or second season as head coach. This is his second, right?
Yeah, I think second.
Yeah, second full season as head coach. Owen Wolf going to start off injured, but you'll have him back at some point. Christian, we keep beating around the bush about, yes, this team had its struggles offensively, but they had some good moments as well. Like making it to the finals of the U.S. Open Cup was a huge step forward for this club compared to the struggles they've been having in recent years. And they were able to make the postseason. Unfortunately, they did not put up much of a fight to LAFC, but they were able to get, to the first round. So is this a club coming into 2026 that could take that next step forward? I think is what we got to look at. And is Facundo Torres that player who you put him around Brandon Vasquez? You just said it earlier that he relied heavily on Lucha Acosta to get him the ball in. Is Facundo Torres going to be that player who could maybe unlock the goal scoring ability that Vasquez does show signs of, if not consistently?
And you also had a question, can Uzuni be the guy to step up and be, the guy he was brought in to be? You spend $12.3 million on a guy to be in your midfield, you kind of want a little bit more creative side to him. I like the moves they made. Did you bring up Joseph Rosales? Because I actually really like that move as well with a trade with Minnesota, because he's coming in a guy who can kind of play on the back line and be a box-to-box midfielder, right? I think he had 5 goals, 18 assists for the Loons over 128 appearances. So that's another guy I think can come in and really help them create goals.
I did bring him up. I've had mixed reactions about Joseph Rosales over the years. I expect a little more from him. Back in 2023, that was a Gold Cup. My bad. I'm looking here. Here we go. In 2023, he had 1 goal in 18 matches. 2024, 1 goal in 33, 7 assists that season, which was really impressive. And then last year in 28 matches, 1 goal, 2 assists. So he's always been a solid player that you can play in that midfield role. You don't get that much output from him, which concerns me, because that's, I think, everything we've been saying. That's what this team really needs, is some more output from their players.
Well, and I think the 18 assists across 128 games really stands out for a guy who is very versatile and can play the left back position and a box-to-box midfielder. I don't think you're really looking at goals here. I think that's why you brought in Facundo, right? You brought in your goals. You're kind of looking for guys that can be a creative outlet to him.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to My key to success here for Austin FC. Um, we've been driving it into the ground, so you're going to have to hear me say it again. Attacking players need to provide what they're brought in to do. The talent's there. Now use it. They've got a solid squad. I think it's going to be interesting in this Western Conference. I think for the most part, the Western Conference has really improved. Last season, again, they ended up finishing 6th in the West. I think that's going to be hard to do again. My realistic expectations for Austin FC this year is anywhere from the 12 to 8 range. I think they could. Yeah, I think they're going to take a step back. Facundo Torres is going to be a huge get for them, but with some of the other Western Conference teams we're talking about, like I think Houston's going to be better than them this year. I'll be interested to see what Real Salt Lake, what happens with them, but I've really liked the signings that they've made. San Jose Earthquakes bringing in Timo Werner. The question is what's going to be around Timo Werner? That's going to be a big question. I mean, we even talked about the Portland Timbers, who I think could do better. I think there's some other teams that could leapfrog them this year. I don't know if Facundo Torres is going to be enough, unless I'm going to look like a fool if these guys start scoring. If they start scoring, then I'm going to look like a fool, and they could get as high as potentially 6th again or 5th.
Talking about falling to 12th, I think is a bit crazy considering I think they did bring in the right pieces to.
That's worst case scenario. That's what I'm saying. 12 to 8.
And like you said, we're beating a dead horse, but at the same respect, like 37 goals, you're not going to get into the playoffs again, right? I think that was an anomaly, and if they do the same thing, it's just not going to happen again. But that's why my 3 X factors, a lot of it, I mean, they all go into the attack. Number 1, I have Facundo Torres. He's a number 1 X factor to me. You got a DP with elite MLS attacking pedigree. Could be the catalyst for transitioning Austin into a top 6 scorer. Number 2 is Owen Wolf, right? Already a creative engine, and I think he could explode into the U.S. men's national team contention with a double-digit in goals and assists. Number 3 is a healthy attack synergy. If Vasquez returns strong and meshes with Torres, Wolf, Azuni, then the scoring efficiency will jump.
All right, well, Christian, then I have to ask you, since you kind of got on to me about it, I mean, what's your overall expectations for Austin FC this season? Like, where do you see them? What is their range?
I think if they get 37 goals up to, let's give them 12 and give them to 49, I think this is a team that can finish anywhere from 5th to 8th. I do not see falling all the way back to 12.